chairmanship for the first time. It's difficult for me to stress how big an issue this is in my constituency. It has been something that I've been aware of for some time. Before it became public, I was made aware of it as the local Member of Parliament, so that isn't my complaint. I mean, I was aware of it. There is the paper trail there of me strongly opposing the use of a Novotel for the purposes in question. And I have worked together with Ipswich Borough Council on this matter. It's Labour-run, Ipswich Borough Council, many occasions where me and them will not see eye to eye. But on this, we've been on the same side. The current context is that they have, in keeping with what many other local authorities have done, they have, on planning grounds, they have secured a temporary injunction, and there will be a court hearing later today. It was meant to be yesterday, but it's going to be later today. So quite what the outcome is of that, I don't know. So what I'm saying today is very much less the legal point and more the political point and more the ins and outs of whether this is the right thing to do or not. And my views as a local Member of Parliament representing my constituents. The Novotel is a town centre hotel in Ipswich. It is a good hotel. It's a good quality hotel. It's in an incredibly important location, linking together the waterfront to the Saints, which lead up to the town centre. It's actually an area of the town which has been at the heart of our regeneration efforts. And my right honourable friend may actually remember his visit to Ipswich to talk about the town deal. A significant part of the town deal is about regenerating the part of the town where the Novotel sits, and that is one of my concerns. I'm already hearing stories about the way in which the building and the upkeep of it has deteriorated since it's been acquired by the Home Office for this 6-month period. So I'm happy to give way.
And the honourable member is making a really important point. And does he accept quite often we're not talking about budget accommodation? We're talking all too often about accommodating those who come over illegally on small boat crossings, accommodating them in quite smart hotels in city centre and town centre locations. What sort of message does my honourable friend think that gives to those in the middle of a global cost of living crisis are living on modest incomes?
I think it sends. I thank my honourable friend for his intervention. My answer to his question is that it sends all the wrong messages. I think the cost to the taxpayer at a national level of putting these many illegal immigrants up in hotel accommodation is hugely costly. And to say that it grates with a large number of my constituents would be an understatement. The Novotel is a nice hotel. I've been in there before. My family have stayed there before. I've spent time in there. It is not in keeping with, I think, what we should be doing, which is, clearly, if people have... I mean, my personal view is if you've entered this country illegally, you're not welcome, and virtually all of them should be deported. But frankly, if we are going to have them staying here for a short term, it should be in basic, safe and secure accommodation, not hotels. I'd also point out that in addition to the Novotel, 200 spaces in the town centre of Ipswich, there's also a Best Western Hotel in Copdock, which is not technically within the boundaries of Ipswich Borough or my constituency, but for all intents and purposes is within the urban area of Ipswich. So is already causing concern for my constituents and already have an impact on local public services. So actually, we're not just looking at the 200 in the Novotel, we're looking at the 150 in the Copdock. So we're now talking about 350 individuals who are overwhelmingly young men who have all entered this country illegally. So why is the Novotel location wrong? Why has the decision to acquire the Novotel for use for 200 of these individuals the wrong thing to do? Why has it united virtually everyone within the community against it? It's united the Conservative Member of Parliament, it's united the Labour-run Borough Council, it's united the local business improvement district, it's united all sorts of people who I don't often agree with, but we are all of one view. This is not the right location to be accommodating these individuals. And something I also find desperately concerning has been the way that 20 constituents of mine who worked at the hotel have been treated by Fairview Hotel Ipswich. They were given 5.5 days' notice that their jobs were on the line. Many of them felt pressured into resigning under the kind of vague promise that maybe you might get your job back after a 6-month period. So many of them were pressured into resigning. I had one constituent whose daughter came home and broke down in tears because of the way she'd been treated by those who managed the hotel. My responsibility is for her. My responsibility is for those 20 constituents. My responsibility isn't to think about the welfare of those who have entered our country illegally. And I make no apology for that, Mr. Chairman. In terms of the economic impact of using this particular hotel, the Novotel, because of its there's a huge amount of effort in Ipswich which is going into promoting us as a visitor destination. If you look at Ipswich, it's surrounded by beautiful countryside. It is the oldest town in the country. Now that Colchester's I thought it was older than Colchester anyway, but now Colchester's got city status. Ipswich is definitely the oldest town in the country. It is the home to Cardinal Wolsey. Soon we'll be celebrating the 550th anniversary of Cardinal Wolsey. Only a stone throw away from a Novotel is Wolsey's Gate, which was built by Cardinal Wolsey. There's a whole operation to try and enhance that area. What we're talking about is a 200 good quality hotel in the centre of Ipswich, which is lost to us, lost to our local economy. It has been described by a business lady who runs a successful shop a stone throw away from the hotel as being an economic bomb that has landed on the town. And there is consensus within the business community that that is the case. There's also the other angle, which is that the nature of a hotel means that it is often used by successful businesses in Ipswich to host clients. If they have clients visiting, if there are conferences. The Novotel, more often than not, is the hotel used. So losing those 200 beds, that is a further economic negative impact in that sense. I also want to talk about this point about community tension, which I think is an important one, and I plan to address it directly. Ipswich is a welcoming town. It is a multicultural town, and it has benefited from that diversity. And it's an integrated town. We've got a history of welcoming genuine refugees. Some of them are Conservative councillors, and some of them are from Albania, might I add. But they came here in a proper way. They came here legally. And they were welcomed, and they've thrived in Ipswich. They've been welcomed in Ipswich. They have made a positive contribution. The people of Ipswich are welcoming people, but quite frankly, there is a limit. And when they can see people deliberately, illegally enter our country from another safe European country, are being accommodated at vast expense in a good quality local hotel, in an important location that is costing local jobs and having a spillover negative economic impact on the local economy, they are quite rightly furious. And it is not surprising. It is not surprising. And I make no exaggeration in saying that even at a time of cost of living strain, when many constituents are desperately concerned about getting by, I am hearing more about this in my postbag than any other local issue. So I need to make that point, that we are a welcoming and compassionate town. I move on now to the general point. My right honourable friend will know that I've been a consistent voice on the issue of illegal immigration since I've been elected to this place. I support the Home Secretary fully in her efforts, and I support my right honourable friend's efforts fully. I was behind my right honourable friend in the chamber yesterday supporting him, and I was proud to do that, and he knows he has my support. And he knows that I also know that the party, well, there isn't any party opposite, there's no one from the party opposite, but he knows that my view is that the situation would be even worse under them. And I find it somewhat ironic when the Labour Shadow Home Secretary last week visited Ipswich and was commenting upon this matter, when that same Shadow Home Secretary, when she was chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee, actually called an urgent question about a year ago, opposing the use of Napier barracks for the use of those who've entered our country illegally. All I'd say is I'd much rather disused army barracks be used for these individuals than good quality hotels in the centre of Ipswich. I'd also note that the Labour candidate for Ipswich has made multiple visits to Calais. Quite what he was doing there, I don't know, but that's by the by. I would not get distracted by that. But I finish simply by saying that I acknowledge the fact that tackling illegal immigration, there's no one silver bullet. I'm encouraged by the Prime Minister's meeting with President Macron yesterday. I look forward to hearing what came out of that. And I have confidence in the Prime Minister. On this issue, I spoke to him and I supported him, and I think he's a great man. But I do think I do think, ultimately, we've got to put turbochargers under this Rwanda policy. I think that needs to be part of it. The sections of the left deride what happened in Australia. They say that the offshore processing approach in Australia wasn't successful. Everything I've seen would indicate that it was successful. The fact of the matter is, Australia had a big problem with illegal immigration. They started offshore processing. They now no longer have a big problem. I understand they had 2 different locations. They're not using one location. And there might be, obviously, differences between Australia and ourselves. But ultimately, I think the principle holds. So I would strongly encourage my right honourable friend to not just support the concept and principle, but to stress the urgency of delivering it and doing what is required to deliver it, because he has huge support on our benches to get this done. But, Mr Chair, on a concluding note, and I thank my honourable friend for Peterborough coming to support me today, he's a strong voice in this matter also, would be that we don't know what's going to happen in court later today with a temporary injunction. I hope it's successful. But if it's not successful, my separating this bigger issue about how we tackle the crossings, we are where we are now in the short term, would be to look again at the use of a Novotel, to take on board a view of the local business community, and in fact, and also to really work with those 20 employees, my constituents, who I think have been treated very poorly, to support them. And that's all I have to say on this matter, Mr Chairman.
Robert Jenrick.